Welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. I might be becoming a bad baseball fan who can't enjoy the romantic things because of advanced statistics. 15 years from now, I want to be on the early baseball committee. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
I literally have the Fangraphs hoodie, the baseball reference t-shirt, just repping some stats, you know what I'm saying?
It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio. We're talking baseball kind of whenever. I'm your host, Chris Gianta. Over there, across from me, as you cannot see on YouTube, unfortunately, is Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am doing very well. I feel like we're back to one show a week now, but it's Monday night, which has kind of become our designated recording time.
Yes.
And we're just out here at 8:16 on a Monday in our academic building that is very abandoned right now.
Yes, as it should be at 8:17 p.m.
We also have like one of the smallest academic buildings on campus.
Oh yeah.
Like there's never a max of like 10 people in here.
Yeah.
Past class time.
Anytime I see a person outside of our major come into this building, I'm like, wow, look at you in Weiser.
Yeah. No, it's funny. I've talked to so many people outside of the major, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm going to Weiser tonight. Like I'll be there for a while. They're like, I haven't been in there since like freshman year, and they're like juniors, seniors.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, it's like it's our
sanctuary.
It's our embassy on campus for sports.
It's our base.
Yeah, and shout out to the Weiser Wonder, Walter Johnson.
Of course.
As he had like a .55 ERA in the Southern Idaho League that one time. Episode 105 for more information. But one a week, and that's
you know what? I was in this very spot where I'm sitting when we recorded that show.
Yeah, right.
Because it was one of the few history episodes that we did on campus.
Right.
Because it was towards the very end of it. And I remember you were in your sophomore dorm. I was in here every single time. The security guard would always kind of just drop in as I'm like, and then in 1922, Walter Johnson.
Yeah, Alex Ricard made a couple on-camera appearances in the background, trying to avoid being on.
But unfortunately, he was in a college dorm, so it simply is not possible to do such a thing.
And inside jokes here, but in Abby Appleton dorm as well, which is like it's pretty small. It's not Gulick small, but it's.
You wouldn't even know what that is, though.
I wouldn't really know, except for that one time I went during summer orientation.
Yeah.
And they were like, "This is a freshman dorm." I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Anyway, if you come to Springfield College, I'm not gonna say don't live in Gulick Hall because I bet there might be freshmen listening to this that possibly live there currently.
Move out.
Yeah, move out, just like I did.
Yeah. Unless you really like your roommate.
Yeah, exactly.
Or your floor.
If you have a roommate that's there more than twice a week that you like, go right ahead and stay there. I don't care.
Yeah. Or you like your floor. Freshman floor bonds are different.
If you have a good one, like there's nothing that beats that.
Yeah, like there's just people. I'm not necessarily good friends with everybody on my freshman floor, but I always say hi no matter what, usually.
Like, we'll always have that. We were on the same floor for part of freshman year.
Yeah.
Because I moved out of my original dorm and moved, it was across the hall and one door over from you.
Yeah.
But, yeah, what a time. Very sadly, it had to get cut short because of COVID.
Yep.
That was your room was where the first ARR was filmed. It lasted about 2 seconds.
Yeah. That was because I didn't know to get the radio key from the union, and I was pestering the senior leaders of Radio Club.
And now you're one of the senior leaders of Radio Club.
Yeah, sort of. Not a lot of pestering people though.
No,
it's really just us still.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the Springfield College rundown.
Yeah. Also,
so far.
Speaking of which, the third birthday of this podcast is coming up.
Yeah, it's coming up. It
was October 1st.
So it's 13 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, as of this recording.
One of the honestly, we're gonna graduate college this year. If I had to do like a top like 25 list of like the best days in college, that day's got to be there. It has to be. I might even push top 10. It was definitely like top 5 of freshman year.
Right. Yeah. There were like our freshman year we had basically the floor, rented out. Like the common room floor or the common room of the floor rented out watching the 2019 postseason,
which is one of the best postseasons in recent memory.
Yeah, I mean, one of the greatest World Series of all time between Nationals and Astros. A good Yankees-Astros ALCS. Obviously,
the Nats-Dodgers.
Dodgers-Nats was amazing. Astros-Rays went 5 games. And
Braves-Cardinals.
Braves-Cardinals won 5 games.
There were some good games in that one, too. Like the Cardinals, I remember game 1, the Cardinals scored like 4 in the 9th inning. The Braves scored like 2 or 3 in the 9th inning. Cardinals won that game.
Yeah.
The Cardinals had an 8th inning comeback that turned into a walk-off in game 4. What was his name? Mike Soroka had like a really good outing in game 2 or 3. And then obviously game 5 was the We Need Your Energy Bowl.
Yes. And, I was coming back from something, and it was 10, and then all of a sudden it was 10-0. I was like, I'll miss the first inning of this game, but then I got 2 LDS games lined up. But yeah,
what a time!
What a time! What a time to be alive! Freshman year at Springfield College for the 2019 playoffs. But yeah, here we are. Yeah, about 3 years later, and we're talking about leading into the 2022 playoffs. A little different this time. We got 12 teams coming in. One team that likely won't be in the playoffs after leading their division for a lot of the year, it seemed, is the Minnesota Twins. They've lost 12 out of 18. Currently, they stand, and they actually won yesterday. So previous to that, they
lost today, I believe.
Oh, so they already played today?
Yes, they played the Guardians again today. I know Josh Naylor hit a 3-run homer. That was the only highlight I saw, but that leads me to believe that they lost. They lost 11-4. So they've lost 13 of 19 then.
Yeah, they've lost 13 of 19, and also, all these statistics we're going to talk about today are heading into Monday's games.
So they've only gotten worse, likely.
Yeah, they've only gotten worse. So the Twins have lost 13 out of 19. They're now 7 out in the AL Central and probably further out in the wild card race because that's how the AL Central works and the AL wild card works. What have you been taken away from this Twins semi-collapse?
Yeah, I mean, there's a pretty easy takeaway here, and that's just that they had so much terrible injury luck. Like, if you look at their current IL, you could fill like a whole lineup with this team, and it would be pretty good.
Right.
I'm just waiting for the injury report to load. But like Byron Buxton's on the IL right now. That's obviously the biggest damage to their injury report that's been made. That's their best player. Jorge Polanco just went on the IL like a week ago. Actually, it was before that.
Yeah, that's a big blow as well.
It was before September. Max Kepler is on the IL. Tyler Mahle is on the IL. Royce Lewis is on the IL. Miguel Sano is on the IL. Alex Kirilloff is on the IL. Like I said, you could probably fill a whole lineup with the guys they have injured currently.
Yeah, and it makes sense that those are the particular guys that are on the IL because it seems that their offense has been more of a problem than their pitching.
Yep.
If the statistics line up correct, in the span, or at least heading into Monday, where they lost 12 out of 18, they had been scoring the 5th least amount of runs in Major League Baseball. Also, oddly enough, just noticed this about the Twins, but in this span where they've gone 6-12, lowest BSR of any team in that span.
Interesting.
And kind of makes sense. You think about the Twins, you don't think of a lot of base stealers on that team. It's just more power guys. But yeah, the BSR, by the way, is like whether you have a positive or negative impact on the bases, and that's not just stolen bases. It's like scoring from first on a double, scoring from second on a single, those elements of that. Also, they have not been doing it in clutch situations, With runners in scoring position in this span, the Twins are hitting 201 with a 577 OPS.
Ouch.
They have the third lowest OPS with runners in scoring position in this span. Only the Tigers and Marlins are worse, and they probably have the two worst lineups in baseball.
Actually, there's some Tigers news today.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We'll get to that later, but yeah.
And last stat I have on the Twins is, and also this probably ties into the IL thing, because, I mean, they just don't have maybe even major league ready guys in their lineup right now. Their production from their 7, 8, 9 hitters in this span is second worst in Major League Baseball in terms of OPS and weighted runs created plus.
I can actually speak to one specific person. There's a guy, I believe he's a 26-year-old rookie from Venezuela. His name is Jermaine Palacios. He's 0 for, so he had one at bat today, and he went 0 for 1. But counting that, he is 0 for 21, and that is not in at bats. That is in plate appearances. I mean, he has come to the plate 21 times. He has not gotten a hit. He has not walked. He has not been hit by a pitch. His slash line is zeros all across the board in those 28. Yes. And oh, by the way, he also has, I believe, a 50% strikeout rate in that span. So I did a little bit of span finder today, and in his last 9 games, this is what's going on. These stats, and he is the 21st person in baseball history, non-pitcher in baseball history, in a 9-game span with at least 20 plate appearances to have a 0 OPS and at least 10 strikeouts.
Wow.
And that doesn't include today, where he is now a 10-game span with such things. So it's probably more at this point.
Yeah.
It's probably more than 21, but it's been, I mean, I'm sure he's probably just not major league ready at this point because he's a rookie, but the fact that guy is getting any sort of playing time just shows where the Twins are at with their injuries.
Right. Yeah. Makes sense. And yeah, I mean, with the Twins, our expectations from this team was potential sleeper team.
Yes, they were my AL sleeper team.
Yeah, but nothing higher. We didn't expect them to win the division. I mean, we didn't expect the White Sox to be, this mediocre also.
Yeah.
But we were expecting, their ceiling was like 90 wins maybe, or around there, was where we had them at. And when you have that many high-profile guys on the IL, it's kind of hard to sustain a level of success where you're winning your division.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly difficult to tread that sort of water with that many guys down, and especially in the starting rotation. Like Chris Archer's down, Tyler Malley's down, Chris Paddock was down all year, Kenta Maeda was down all year. Like, they've been working with so much. Bailey Ober was down for much of the year. That was one of my Twins players to watch.
Yeah.
Well, both of them have been struck by injury this year.
And he was doing well before his injury.
Yep.
He solved that home run problem that you were talking about, and unfortunately got hurt. So yeah, and the division reigns have just kind of been handed over to the Guardians, who are probably 4 up on the White Sox now.
The White Sox are playing like their best baseball of the year, but the Guardians have just also been winning.
Yeah.
I believe they've won 13 of 18.
Yeah.
The White Sox.
The White Sox have definitely climbed above, significantly above 500 now, but the Guardians have been just better overall this year. And I know Shane Bieber has been doing unbelievable over his last 10 starts.
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
I've been watching that one up close.
1.68 ERA in his last 10 starts.
Mm-hmm.
And then, Guardians, a lot of their success has just come from guys that have been doing it all year. Jose Ramirez, Andres Jimenez, Ahmed Rosario, Shane Bieber, as I just mentioned, Emmanuel Clase out of the bullpen, arguably best reliever in baseball. But, that's a conversation you could have for another day. But, a surprising development there for sure.
Yeah, that it has been pretty remarkable what the Guardians have done all year. It's funny because, I think I mentioned this earlier, but, we're looking at the 22 Guardians the same way that we looked at the 2019 Twins, where it was at the beginning of the season, the division looked like a foregone conclusion to the team that had won it the previous year. In the 2016 through 18 Indians case, they had won it many years in a row.
Right.
And it was like, all right, this other team's, up and coming, and that looks cool, but like eventually, things are gonna fix itself out, and it just never happened.
Yeah.
And it could be the case this year. I feel like maybe we could still be having that conversation with the way the White Sox have been playing. Ironically, maybe coincidentally, as soon as Tony La Russa got sick and left.
Yeah.
Because I've talked with our professor, Amy Crawford, about this last week, because it's very clear that the team is playing better without Tony La Russa. But if he takes a leave of absence because he's sick, does that look bad if the White Sox fire him at the end of the year, being like, hey, it's great that you're like healthy and all, but like we're replacing you?
Yeah.
Because I feel like maybe that you get a pass for that when the guy is 80 years old.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we've personally saw this with the Red Sox.
That's literally what I referenced.
Yeah. For those unaware, John Farrell,
in 2015.
2015, he was the manager of the World Series 2013 winning Red Sox.
Well, Tony La Russa is also a World Series winning manager.
Yes, and a Hall of Famer baseball person,
Yes.
might we add. But John Farrell, won World Series in 2013, but then first to worst in 2014, and then they were in last place in 2015. But
after acquiring 2 stud free agents.
Yeah, 2 stud free agents in Pablo Sandoval and Hanley Ramirez, and they were still in last place. I mean, that's just terrible. But anyway, yeah.
He was diagnosed with leukemia.
Yeah, he was diagnosed with cancer.
I think it was lymphoma.
Yeah, lymphoma sounds right. But he was diagnosed with cancer, and after he was
lymphoma.
After he was diagnosed with cancer, the Red Sox actually started doing better under bench coach Torey Lovullo, but just PR-wise, it's hard to just like fire your manager, even though he's coming off 2 last-place seasons. And then he managed them in 2016 and 2017, and eventually got fired after 2017. But yeah, like it might be a factor. I don't know if it actually ever is a factor, but
right.
We'll never truly know. But yeah, it could be a thing.
It's funny because after 2015, when we kept Farrell, especially in 2017 when Lovullo took over with the Diamondbacks and led them to a 93-win season to make the playoffs, and you also won Manager of the Year. Like, for that entire offseason, I was like, we could have had that guy. Like we could have fired Farrell after 16, brought Lovullo in, and then like we wouldn't have this problem. And then we hired Alex Cora, and then it was the rest is history. Right.
Yeah. It was an emotional roller coaster for sure.
It's so funny. I was actually seeing this on Twitter today, but someone was talking about like the most unlikable Red Sox team of all time, because apparently the 2022 team is in the conversation.
Right.
Which I don't really see it. I mean, I know that they haven't been great, but I think there have been worse. But someone referenced 2017. I was like, this team won the division. They won the same amount of games as the previous year despite losing their best hitter. They actually won more playoff games than they did the year before. And we look at that team like it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt so bland just because, like, I think 2016 they were one of the best offensive teams, and then 2017 I think they were like second worst in the AL in slugging.
Yeah, they did not hit for extra bases that year.
Yeah. It's just like all their they won, but all their games were like not that exciting. Except they did win a bunch of extra innings.
They did have a lot of walk-offs.
They had a ton of walk-offs.
They had a walk-off home run the second game of the year. They had at least 3 walk-off home runs that I can think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. It's just that like the only guy that really dominated that year was Chris Sale.
Yeah.
He
had 300 strikeouts.
Their number two
was
starter
Drew
was
Pomeranz.
And like Mookie Betts had an off year. Hanley Ramirez wasn't good that year. Who were like Dustin Pedroia was good.
That was the year that Machado injured him,
yeah,
and it kind of all fell off after that. Like Andrew Benintendi didn't blossom the way we hoped he would in his first year.
Yeah.
First full year.
Like only dominant guys were Sale and Craig Kimbrell.
And Craig Kimbrell was awesome that year.
Craig Kimbrell was insane. Yeah.
he was so sick that year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they only won the division, I think, by 2 games that year.
Yeah. And then the Yankees moved they went further than them in the
playoffs. The Yankees also won the season series against them that year.
True. How'd we get to the 2017 Red Sox?
Oh, we were talking
John
about
Farrell.
John Farrell and Tony La Russa and the AL Central, the Twins.
But yeah, I was gonna say that like if you are a White Sox fan, there's reason to root against them winning the division. But
it is so fair because that's probably their only route to the playoffs.
yeah, it's their only route to the playoffs. But like but I guess it's different since Tony La Russa is technically not in control of the team right now. But like if Tony La Russa was in control of the team right now, it's almost better for you long term, under the condition that he gets fired if they don't win the division, and if they under the condition of that, it would be better for them long term if they just lost the division this year, because obviously they don't really pose that much of a playoff threat as it stands now. But if they just lost the division and then had a new manager from there on out and were able to ride the next few years under a major league manager.
Exactly.
But obviously the situation's more complicated now because Tony La Russa is not technically managing them, but they're still doing better. So who could have predicted? So yeah, Twins are out of it, basically, and a lot of that has to do with injuries. Another division race that's happening, most exciting one. You could, it's not the exact same, but it's somewhat comparable to the Giants and Dodgers last year.
Yeah.
Because these
just
are
not as many wins.
Not as many wins, but I mean, two teams that are probably going to end up with
over 100
this year. Braves, Mets in the NL East. As it stands now, Mets have a one-game lead. What are we thinking about how this race is going to go down?
It's very, very interesting because like both teams have had opportunities to pull away and they just haven't. I think they both swept their series this weekend. The Mets swept the Pirates. The Braves swept the Phillies.
Yep.
But like the Mets got swept by the Cubs. The Braves struggled against various teams. Like I remember there was a stat where like both teams went like 2 months without like winning in there or losing on the same day. I think it was one way. Like there was like a month and a half where there were no single days where the Mets lost and Braves won on the same day.
Wow.
Or something like that.
Like
every time the Mets lost, I remember there was one day where the Mets like got crushed, and then the Braves lost a game at home to the Rockies with Max Fried pitching.
Yeah.
The Road Rockies.
Yeah, the Road Rockies. Yeah, it's a very good race. Like for sure, because like, if the Mets end up losing, there might be some. Most people aren't going to fall into this, but some people are going to be like, they had a 10.5 game lead and they weren't able to hold on to it. But it's like it's not the Mets losing it because
the Braves have been unbelievable.
I have statistics for this.
Yeah.
The Mets didn't lose it. It's just the Braves went out and absolutely got it if they do end up winning. Mm-hmm. So since the Mets last had a 10.5 game lead, the Mets have gone 58-38, 28 games or 20 games above 500.
Yeah. If you ask a Mets fan as they have that 10.5 game lead, hey, this is your record over the next X amount of games, they're taking that.
Yeah,
absolutely, they're taking that.
So the Mets, since they had that 10.5 game lead, that's a 98 win pace over 162 games. It's just the Braves have gone 67-28, and that is a pace of 114 wins over 162 games. So it's taken the Braves to be on a 114 win pace for them to catch the Mets, and they haven't even technically caught them. Or, they did have like a day or two where they were the leaders, or at least tied for the lead, but right now they're a game out. But like the Braves are 67-28 in their last 95. That's how good this race has been.
Yeah. I mean, both teams have just been going out every single day and winning. Like I said, like long period of time where both teams go a while without having the same result without having the same result every day.
Yeah. And like the teams are it's crazy. Like, just every component of both teams, it's like there's not a clear winner. I guess, I don't know. Could you say with, I don't know if you could say with defiance that I don't know if you could say set in stone that like the Braves have a better lineup than the Mets. I don't know if you could say that set in stone that the Mets have a better rotation than the Braves. Like it just depends who's going. Bullpen wise, it seems like the same thing, except for the ninth inning.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know where they have the advantage in the ninth inning, but and then also outlooking the rest of the year for both of them.
Do they face each other at all?
They face each other 3 times.
Oh, okay, so just one series.
Yeah, the Mets have the 6th easiest strength of schedule, but the Braves have the 8th easiest strength of schedule. So they basically have like the exact same strength of schedule.
Yeah.
So it's really just up to them. It's not really a factor of who they're facing because their strength of schedule is about the same. And who knows? Maybe we'll see a sweep in that Mets Braves series that might end up deciding it. But we're gonna learn a lot. What happens in this playoff format if there's a tie for the division?
It might just be head-to-head record.
Yeah, we'll
I guess
see.
we still could do a game 163. Like there is still a day between the end of the season and playoffs, so it's probably a game 163.
Yeah, probably a game 163.
But if you're really wondering what's on the line here, because both these teams are waltzing into the playoffs.
Yes.
Like both of these teams will clinch a playoff berth probably before the NL Central winner clinches the division.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But if you want to know what is being played for, the loser is ultimately going to get the 4 seed, which is the top wild card, and if they win the wild card series, they have to face the Dodgers. Whereas the 2 seed, which would be the winner of the division, would have to get a bye and then face the winner of the 3 versus 6, which, as it stands right now, would be Cardinals-Phillies.
Or would it be? Is it? I thought it was like NFL playoffs where it's like highest seed remaining.
I saw a bracket where it was like automatically set. I could be wrong though.
Okay, we'll figure that out.
Either way, division winner gets a bye in the first round.
Yeah, the division winner needs 3 rounds to win the World Series. The wild card winner needs 4.
Yeah,
that's all you really need to know there. You literally, it's a free win for whoever. It's a free playoff round win for whoever wins that division. So obviously that is that's at stake.
Not only that, but like it's a 2-game series, maybe a 3-game series. So hypothetically, if that series goes 3, you got to pitch your game 4 starter, game 1 of the division series.
Right, yeah, because
so you're probably not going guys on short rest there because there's no travel days. It's back to back to back.
Yep.
So like let's say the Braves go with Max Fried in game 1, Spencer Strider game 2, Charlie Morton game 3. They then have to start Jake Odorizzi game 1.
Yeah, against Scherzer or DeGrom.
If it's against the Dodgers, it'd be against like Julio Urias.
Yeah.
I don't know. They don't really have like a defined ace this year.
Yeah.
Do they?
Well, I guess Kershaw's
when he's healthy, Kershaw, but he hasn't been healthy.
Yeah, he's healthy right now, but subject.
They also have a
change.
very left-handed heavy rotation between Kershaw, Andrew Heaney, Julio Urias, Tyler Anderson.
Yeah.
Tony Gonsolin's hurt right now. I guess he's probably been their best pitcher throughout the year, thanks to his run support and his average against with runners in scoring position.
Yep.
He is a 16-1 record. That's so crazy.
Yeah, literally like
he has a 2.10 ERA and a 3.33 FIP.
That's a historic win-loss record.
Yeah.
Like
a win-loss percentage of 941.
Like 95 Maddox and 95 RJ went 19-2 and 18-2 respectively, and that's like the territory Tony Gonsolin is in right now.
Yep. He does have a 200 ERA plus.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to get into players to highlight?
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah. All right. So, now it is time to get into players that are performing above expectations, and then eventually players underperforming. Starting with our Tuesday September 2022 edition of... Who do you have for us today?
So I went reliever diving for this show, as I told you, and I'm going with a guy who, if we're not taking sample size into account, you could argue this guy has been the best reliever in baseball this year. I'm talking about Pete Fairbanks, who was injured for much of the year, but over his last 19 appearances, which dates back to July 25th, he has a 0 ERA and a .26 FIP in 19 innings pitched.
Wow.
This year overall, he has a 42.1% strikeout rate and a 2.6% walk rate that gives him the second best K rate minus walk rate in the majors. Somehow Edwin Diaz is still better than that. And the best K to walk ratio. His slider has gained 4 inches of vertical movement against the average this year. It went from 6 to 10. And as a result, he's allowed a 208 average against with 0 extra base hits. And also expected statistics that are actually lower than that.
Wow.
And this is the one. He has an xWOBA this year of 158.
Yeah.
That is the best of the 653 pitchers with at least 25 batted balls against. And it also leads the 5,371 seasons since the start of the StatCast era with at least 100 pitches thrown. Pete Fairbanks is at exactly 300. That's 3 times the qualifier. 5,371 seasons, and no one has had a better xWOBA than Pete Fairbanks this year.
Yeah, that's insane. Pete Fairbanks. Yeah, it kind of surprising how low his walk rate is, because I've always remembered him as a guy who, he'll strike you out, but he'll walk you as well.
Speaking of low walk rates, one of my favorite trades is the fact that Pete Fairbanks and Nate Lowe were traded for each other, and now they're both dominating right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because Lowe, I remember there was Nate Lowe and Brandon Lau, and it was like, who's who?
Well, now there's also Josh Lowe.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, thank God that one of them was traded.
It is a very fun. I love the trades where it's like a 1-for-1 and they both do really well, or they both do horrible.
Oh yeah. Right.
Like where they both perform equally.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pete Fairbanks getting traded straight up for Nate Lowe. I don't know if it was straight up, but they were traded for each other.
Both how about that's this
Both
year.
how about that's this year. One of them a player to watch of mine.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think both teams don't regret it, even though the guy that they traded is doing really well. Like I'm sure the Rangers probably regretted it for some time in 2020.
Yeah.
But now they're like, Nate Lowe is I think he has like a top 5 weighted runs created plus among first basemen this year.
Yeah, it makes sense. He's been dominating since the start of August.
Really dominating.
Yeah.
He's been a top 10 hitter in the majors. Real quick, on the year, his weighted runs created plus ranks 3rd among first basemen behind Goldschmidt and Freeman.
Okay.
That's okay.
Yeah. So yeah, my how about that is about one of the teams we just talked about. It's about the Mets.
It's about the Mets, baby. Yeah. Let's go Mets.
Come on now, hit a home run. This guy's been hitting some home runs. It's Eduardo Escobar.
Oh, wow. This is, what is it? What is it when a guy gets 2 how about that's in a season?
Wait, he was a how about that?
The very first episode of the season.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, it's
what is it called? How about these? Yeah.
How about these? I don't have a sound effect for that, but
I think it's only happened twice in the history of the show, and
yeah.
it was because we had a guest. How about that?
Yep. Oh yeah. Or actually, no. I did a how about these, and it's kind of funny how it connects to this episode also.
I don't even remember who it was.
But Eduardo Escobar, how about these? I thought when you said that, I was like, did he do it a month ago?
He did it the very first episode of the year.
So I don't feel bad about this one.
No,
this is a totally different sample.
Yeah.
But Eduardo Escobar, in his last 16 games, is hitting .379 with an 1189 OPS and a 228 weighted runs created plus. In this span, out of 164 qualifiers, he ranks 6th in slugging, 6th in OPS, and 6th in weighted runs created plus. Out of 243 hitters with 25-plus batted balls in the span, Escobar's expected WOBA ranks 4th behind Yordan Alvarez, Aaron Judge, and Freddie Freeman.
Second amongst... Or no, I guess first amongst switch hitters, technically.
Yeah. Good qualifier there.
I thought of him as a righty, and then I was like, no, wait, he's both.
Yep. Escobar's strikeout rate has gone from 25% before the span to 17% in the span. Also, his barrel rate has gone from 7.9% to 18.8% in this span. That barrel rate ranks 15th out of 243. Also, his hard hit rate has gone from 36% to 48%. Only 4 of Eduardo Escobar's 48 batted balls in the span have had a negative launch angle.
Wow.
And his percentage of batted balls with launch angles of 0 degrees or less has gone from 20.3% before the span to 8.3% in this span. And out of 193 batters with 30-plus batted balls since September 2nd, Escobar's percentage of batted balls of 0 degrees or less is the lowest out of those 193. So not a negative launch angle means you're really jamming the ball into the ground. Not the case with Eduardo Escobar's, and that usually results in an out. And if it results in a hit, it's going to be a single. But
maybe a double if it's down the line enough.
Yeah, and then you get the shift against you.
Yeah.
But Eduardo Escobar, also his sweet spot percentage has gone from 38.8%, which is already pretty good, to 50% in this span. That percentage is tied for 10th out of 243 batters. So Eduardo Rodriguez. Eduardo Escobar hitting the ball in the right spot, in the right angle, striking out less as well, and he's earning
his second of the year. Yeah, my sample was 3 games, so yours is definitely a lot more valid.
So
does your Illustrator work? For those stats of negative launch angle, that work for you?
I don't go to Illustrator for that. I go to StatCast Search.
Okay. I mean, the Illustrator is usually a shortcut to find that stuff.
Oh. That's good.
But it doesn't work for me.
Dang.
Yeah.
Hate to see that. Sometimes I just go to his page and go to the StatCast game logs. To find how many balls have been negative launch angles. But anyway, now we go into players and subjects that have been underperforming with our what's today? Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 edition of Slightly Alarming. Who do you have for us today?
So I have another player in the same division as my How About That. Another team that's competing. Guy that has not been doing so well is Teoscar Hernandez of the Toronto Blue Jays. Dating back to August 15th, he is slashing 204, 252, 333 for a 586 OPS and a 66 weighted runs created plus. Before the span, he had a strikeout rate of 26.9%, which is already above league average, but in the span, it is up to 38.3%, which is the third highest in the majors. He, as you might imagine for someone who's been striking out a lot, he has mainly struggled against off-speed pitches and breaking balls. Among the 187 hitters with at least 150 breaking balls and off-speed pitches seen, Hernandez's 182 slugging percentage ranks 8th lowest, and his 23.9% whiff rate ranks 10th highest. He just has not been able to get a hold of it lately. That was really all I had. But yeah, Teoscar Hernandez.
Teoscar Hernandez. Slightly alarming. Blue Jays, they'll definitely be in a playoff spot, most likely, unless the Orioles win 15 in a row. Not what you want heading into a competitive stretch here. My slightly alarming, funnily enough, was last year's How About These guy.
Yep.
It's Austin Riley. A guy also on the other side of the NL East, Chase. Austin Riley, in his last 12 games, he's hitting 149 with a 460 OPS. Out of 165 qualifiers, his OPS is 8th worst, and his weighted runs created plus is 5th worst. His strikeout rate has gone from 24% before the span to 30% in the span. His average exit velocity has gone from 93.4 miles per hour to 89.0 miles per hour. So a 4.4 mile per hour difference. Not great. His hard hit rate has gone from 53% to 38%. And also an alarming thing with Austin Riley, his ground ball rate has gone from 36% to 53%. So from well below average to well above average. I'm sure it'll fix itself. It is a 12-game span, but that's why we call it slightly alarming. So Austin Riley.
Slightly alarming.
All right, so that does it for players to highlight. Now we will get into the preview of the week ahead, where I will be looking at series to watch. Daniel will be taking a look at the day-by-day matchups. So we'll go Tuesday through Thursday here, probably, depending on how much we know about the pitching matchups. But yeah, most of the series have already started. But what I'll talk about is we got some good series up here.
Yeah, we do.
We got Phillies Blue Jays as a nice interleague matchup. I imagine that's going to be a 2-game series, because I believe they've already faced each other, and you don't play like more than 4 games against an interleague opponent. So yeah, that'll be a 2-game series. Both teams trying to maintain spots in the wild card, and the Phillies have actually become the 3rd wild card spot, not the Padres anymore.
Yep.
So they have to worry about the Brewers coming up, trying to sneak up on them. And speaking of the Brewers, they are hosting the Mets, the NL East leading Mets, at American Family Field for what seems to be a 3 or 4 game series.
I believe it's 3.
Yeah, it is. It is a 3-game series. That Wednesday game is at 2 p.m.
There's a very good matchup in tonight's game. It was Corbin Burns versus Max Scherzer.
Yeah.
Looks like the Mets are up 3-0 right now in the 5th. So seems like Scherzer, as of right now, has been getting the better end of that.
Yep. And then the last series I'll get into is Padres Cardinals, playoff rematch of a couple years ago.
The 2020 playoff rematches are so funny.
It is funny. Like, Cubs Marlins. Yeah.
Yeah, Cubs Marlins, Reds Braves,
Yeah.
Twins Astros.
Oh yeah. It's
Dodgers Brewers. Even though
Right.
that was also a 2018 rematch.
Yeah, so much different. So much different. And yeah, Cardinals Padres will be a 3-game series. Padres looking to maintain their status as in the wild card race. Cardinals mostly have the NL Central wrapped up by now, but a good team looking to win some games. What do you got for the day-by-day matchups?
So I'm going to start with Tuesday because Mondays have already happened. There's a Diamondbacks-Dodgers doubleheader at Dodger Stadium. Tyler Anderson will be starting the 2nd game for the Dodgers. A couple of young guys going in Red Sox-Reds, the rare matchup, of course, the 1975 World Series. Got to love that rematch.
Yeah, I mean,
Brian Bayo and Nick Lodolo both have vivid memories of that series.
yeah,
They'll be starting against each other.
Brian Bayo, he was negative,
like 20 years old.
He was negative 20, but his mom let him stay up to watch
Yeah.
Game 6 and see Bernie Carbo hit that 3-run homer to tie the game. And but Joe Morgan's go-ahead single still lives with him, and I think he's going to bring that into tomorrow's matchup.
Exactly. Yeah, as for Nick Lodolo, I mean, he saw Carlton Fisk hit that homer. He dropped to his knees. He was so devastated, but obviously he was very happy to see them win it.
Yeah.
But now he's got to defend that title.
He's got to defend that title. He's got to show why the Reds are number 1.
Exactly, on a Tuesday at 6:40 on September 20th when both teams are out of the playoff race.
Yep.
With a max of like 10,000 fans in attendance.
Yes. Great American.
Pablo Lopez will be speaking of Cubs Marlins.
2020 playoff rematch.
Yeah. Adrian Sampson and Pablo Lopez will be facing each other at Lone Depot Park. Ross Stripling and Kyle Gibson will be facing each other in Blue Jays Phillies, another World Series rematch.
Yep.
Of course, Ross Stripling and Kyle Gibson actually might have been alive for that one.
Yep.
They might have been like 0.
Right. Yeah.
If I'm having to guess. Nestor Cortez will be facing the Pirates. That's another World Series rematch, Yankees-Pirates. Nestor Cortez definitely remembers the 1960.
He remembers that run differential.
Yeah. When he was like negative probably 25-30.
Yeah, Nestor Cortez, anytime he hears a Polish last name, it just brings him back to Bill Mazeroski. This is so fun.
There just happens to be so many World Series rematches. The Mets and Brewers, Carlos Carrasco and Aaron Ashby will face each other.
Yeah.
Patrick Sandoval will face the Rangers for the Angels. Dylan Bundy and Zach Greinke, that's like a 2015 classic, I guess. I don't know, Dylan Bundy was never really good until 2020, but he has been in the majors since 2012, so
4th overall pick 1 year?
something like that, yeah. Luis Castillo will be facing the A's in the Coliseum for the Mariners. Adam Wainwright and Mike Clevenger will face each other in Cardinals-Padres, and matchup of the night comes from Astros-Rays, the playoff rematch.
Yeah.
Twice.
It'll
be Christian Javier versus Shane McClanahan.
Christian Javier and Shane McClanahan. Well, I know Javier was. Well,
they were both on the 2020 roster,
but not
19. Neither of them, because McClanahan made his debut in the playoffs.
Yeah, which is hilarious.
Javier, maybe he pitched in 19, but he definitely wasn't on the playoff roster.
Yep. Those were Thursdays.
Tuesdays.
Oh, Tuesdays.
We got 2 days to go.
Yeah.
We took a while with that one because we kind of took a detour.
Yes.
Worth it, though.
Much worth it.
Max Fried will be facing the Nationals for the Braves on Wednesday. That's a 2:20 start. Taijuan Walker and Adrian Hauser will be facing each other in Mets Brewers. Chase Anderson will be facing the Red Sox, which is funny because I saw him face the Woo Sox in June with the Lehigh Valley Mud Hens.
Yep.
Now he's on the Reds.
There we go.
Completely different organization, different league, different everything. Lance McCullers Jr. and Corey Kluber, that's like definitely a good all-stuff matchup.
Oh, yeah. Watch some good breaking stuff.
I was looking for this earlier, and I found this matchup that it's matchup of the night. So I'm automatically saying it. I'm not going to say it yet, but I haven't seen any other matchup. Roansy Contreras versus Luis Severino. That's interesting because Contreras was traded from the Yankees to the Pirates in, I believe, the Clay Holmes deal.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I think that was.
So that's fun.
Yeah.
Tucker Davidson and Dane Dunning will be facing each other in Angels Rangers. Bailey Ober will be facing the Royals for the Twins in Kansas City. Tristan McKenzie will be facing the White Sox for the Guardians. That's a big series. White Sox Guardians.
Yes.
Logan Webb versus Herman Marquez in Giants Rockies. Robbie Ray versus James Caprillion in Mariners A's at the Coliseum. Miles Michaelis versus Blake Snell in Cardinals Padres. Madison Bumgarner versus Dustin May in Diamondbacks Dodgers. And matchup of the night, as I suspected, comes from Blue Jays Phillies. It's Kevin Gausman versus Zach Wheeler. That's a pretty easy one. Zach Wheeler's coming off the IL.
Yeah.
That's big for the Phillies. They need him down the stretch.
Yeah, you got a guy who won, or who was runner-up for Cy Young last year versus a guy who's probably going to get, they were in the same Cy Young race last year. One was second, one was sixth.
I know this is a conversation for another day, but I really want to believe that the Phillies could be that team where like they get hot at the right time and they have the guys to take down like the Dodgers or like the big guys in the division. Like if they have like, I don't know, Wheeler, Nola at games 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And then it's like Kyle Gibson, Ranger Suarez.
Yeah, they just
3 and 4.
Way.
They just find their way to steal one of those games.
Yeah.
And then you got like Harper and Hoskins and Castellanos,
right,
and Schwarber in that lineup. Like,
yeah,
they're a team where it's like, why can't they do it? Even though
exactly.
Logistically, it's like, well, their defense and their bullpen.
It's gonna be weird when like the Dodgers are in the playoffs and like every pitching matchup is not benefiting the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's just like their offense and bullpen.
Their offense has to just carry them because it's like, it's like game 1. It's Aaron Nola versus Tyler Anderson.
Yeah,
well,
right.
Shoot, I know who the better pitcher is there.
Yeah.
But also Tyler Anderson has like a 2.70 ERA this year with a decent strikeout to walk rate.
Yeah, and the Dodgers just have every other advantage. Offense, offense, bullpen, defense.
Definitely defense if they're playing the Phillies.
Yeah.
So now going on to Thursday, Michael Lorenzen versus Martin Perez in Angels Rangers at Globe Life Field. Not a lot is announced, but let's see. Shane Bieber will be facing the White Sox. Michael Wacha will be facing the Yankees at Yankee Stadium for the Red Sox. Ranger Suarez will be facing the Braves for the Phillies. Zach Gallen versus Julio Urias and Diamondbacks Dodgers. Very good matchup, but I'm going to give matchup of the night just because it's two playoff hopefuls. To Cardinals and Padres, it's going to be Jack Flaherty versus Joe Musgrove.
Jack Flaherty and Joe Musgrove. Yeah.
It's cool that Jack Flaherty is. I mean, I hope he can stay healthy. I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we're ever seeing 2019 Jack Flaherty again. That's not a knock to how he is now. It's just he was so unreal during that stretch.
Oh, yeah.
He had like a sub-1 ERA with like complimentary FIPS.
Yeah. And like, he's like, it's funny because in 2019 he was like 23, 24.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, he's still very much in his 20s. He's going to be in his 20s for the next few years. And I mean, a comeback from Jack Flaherty is,
Exactly.
it won't be out of the ordinary if it happens. And yeah, a good starter to have as the Cardinals head into the playoffs. So yeah, that'll do it for this installment of Above Replacement Radio.
Yes, it will.
We hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Curran. And follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show needs. We hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next time, where we will be talking all the happenings in Major League Baseball once again. See you then.
This conversation is over.